There is a kind of pain in relationships that doesn't shout or break plates. It doesn't explode in big fights or dramatic endings. It comes quietly, in small moments on ordinary nights, when the house is calm, the lights are low, and from the outside everything looks completely fine. But inside, something in you is slowly breaking. Tonight I want to speak to that quiet pain, to the tenderness that hurts, to the part of you that still loves, still hopes, and yet feels more and more invisible. Maybe you know this feeling very well. You love deeply, you care intensely. You are the one who tries to be gentle, patient, understanding. You listen to their moods, you respect their stress, you give them space when they need it. On the outside, it looks like you're the stable one, the strong one, the person who handles everything well. People around you might even admire how calm you are, how loyal you are, how much you give. But on the inside, it feels like you're slowly disappearing. You compromise a little here and a little there. You shift your needs to the side because it's not the right time. You say it's okay when it's not okay. You tell yourself, it's fine, they're just tired. It's fine, I'm probably too sensitive. It's fine, everyone has flaws. And with every it's fine that isn't truly fine, you move one step further away from yourself. You give more, explain more, apologize more. You rewrite your messages 3 times so you don't sound needy or dramatic. You wait for the perfect moment to talk, hoping they won't feel pressured or annoyed. You swallow your questions, your jealousy, your fears, because you don't want to be too much. And somehow, despite all your efforts, you still feel like you are too much and not enough at the very same time. Tenderness is supposed to be a safe place, a space where your needs, your touch, your desire are welcomed, not judged. Where reaching for someone you love doesn't come with fear or shame. But sometimes your tenderness meets a wall made of silence, of a phone screen held between you, of a cold shoulder turned away in bed. A wall made of tired, not tonight, I'm not in the mood, you're overthinking again. Over time, that wall starts to feel less like a bad phase and more like a permanent border you are not allowed to cross. There is a moment in many relationships when asking for intimacy starts to feel like begging. You don't just say, I miss you, I want to be close to you. Instead, you start negotiating with yourself. Maybe I should wait until they're more relaxed. Maybe I was too emotional this week, I should be extra nice first. Maybe I shouldn't say anything at all, maybe they'll come to me if I stay quiet. You practice your own vulnerability in your head like a script, hoping that this time your need for closeness won't be rejected. And when the answer comes back as distance, sarcasm, irritation, or another vague excuse, something inside you shrinks. You tell yourself, it's not a big deal, they're just stressed. I'm probably making a problem out of nothing. You start doubting your own perception. You start wondering if your loneliness is just a story you're telling yourself. So you push your feelings down again and again because you're afraid that if you take them seriously, you'll have to make a serious choice. But your body remembers. Your nervous system remembers. It starts to associate your own longing with embarrassment, your own desire with awkwardness, your need for touch and closeness with the cold sting of rejection. So slowly you begin to protect yourself the only way you know how, by wanting less, asking less, speaking less. For many men, intimacy is not just sex. It is the language where love finally feels real. Acceptance, reassurance, a sense of I am wanted here. So when a man has to beg for intimacy, when he begins to feel like a burden for wanting closeness with his own partner, it doesn't just bruise his ego, it quietly erodes his confidence. It makes him question his attractiveness, his worth, his place in the relationship. He learns, slowly and painfully, that reaching out is risky because each attempt can end with the same cold no. He doesn't stop caring overnight. He doesn't simply decide one morning, I'm done, I don't love her anymore. What really happens is much more subtle. He stops risking. He stops initiating. He keeps his hands in his pockets instead of around her waist. He keeps his thoughts to himself instead of sharing what's really going on inside. On the outside, it looks like he has become distant, emotionally unavailable, maybe even indifferent. On the inside, he is grieving a connection that still exists in name, but no longer feels alive. If you grew up in a home where love came mixed with criticism, or emotional distance, or long stretches of silence, then pain can start to feel strangely familiar. Your brain doesn't automatically crave what is healthy. At first, it craves what it recognizes. So when someone is calm, kind, and consistent, they might feel too easy, too boring, not intense enough. But the person who is hot and cold, who keeps you guessing, who gives you just enough to keep you hopeful, that person can feel magnetic, addicting, impossible to walk away from. That is how tenderness that hurts is born. You accept crumbs of attention because they feel better than emptiness. You wait for one soft moment after 10 cold ones, and you call it love. You replay the rare days when they are truly affectionate, and you use those memories to excuse months of distance. You tell yourself, at least they're still here, even when emotionally they left a long time ago. Your sensitivity is not the problem. Your longing for closeness is not a defect that needs to be fixed. Wanting to be held, seen, chosen, that is not weakness, it is human. The real issue appears when your tenderness keeps colliding with a relationship that cannot hold it, cannot respect it, and cannot truly return it. So what can you do when you recognize yourself in this story? The first step is to gently shift the question. Instead of asking, "What is wrong with me? Why am I like this?" Begin to ask, "What exactly in this dynamic is hurting me? Where do I keep abandoning myself just to avoid losing someone else?" These questions are not comfortable. They can shake the story you've been telling yourself for years, but they are honest questions. And honest questions are the doorway to honest answers. Write it down, name it. I feel lonely even when we are in the same room. I feel ashamed for wanting affection. I feel like I have to earn basic tenderness, because what you can name, you can eventually change, or choose to walk away from. What stays unspoken usually stays unchanged. The second step is small, consistent boundaries. Not dramatic ultimatums, not threats, not scenes meant to shock the other person into changing, but quiet, steady no's that protect your dignity. No, I won't keep making jokes about my needs to make you more comfortable. No, I won't keep pretending I'm fine when I'm actually starving for connection. No, I won't apologize for wanting to feel wanted. Every small boundary you honor is a message to yourself. I matter here too. The third step is to let yourself imagine a different kind of tenderness, even if you don't know yet how you'll get there. A tenderness where your too much becomes exactly enough for the right person. Where you don't have to beg, perform, or shrink just to be chosen. Where intimacy is not a rare reward for perfect behavior, but a natural expression of mutual care. Where your body can finally relax, because love is no longer a constant test you feel like you're failing. If any part of this felt like your story, I want you to hear this clearly. There is nothing wrong with wanting to be held, wanted, chosen. There is nothing embarrassing about needing affection, reassurance, and touch. Your tenderness is not the enemy. It is the part of you that still believes in real connection, even after everything you've been through. The real healing begins when you stop turning that tenderness against yourself. When you stop using your sensitivity as proof that you are broken. When you stop calling your needs too much, and start recognizing that maybe the relationship you're in has been giving you far too little. You deserve a love where your softness is safe, where your emotions are not overreactions, but information, where your desire is not an inconvenience, but a gift, where your presence is not tolerated, but cherished. If this touched you, don't let it be just another sad truth you scroll past. Let it be the moment you take a slow breath and whisper to yourself, I want more than this. I deserve more than this. You don't have to change your entire life tonight. You don't have to make a dramatic decision, but you can make one small promise to yourself. To listen to your pain instead of silencing it. To honor your tenderness instead of apologizing for it. To choose yourself a little more, starting now,